Most people believe financial success comes from earning a bigger salary. But something far more powerful happens when your investments start paying you more money than your job ever could. At that moment, something important changes in your life. Your survival is no longer fully dependent on your daily work schedule. For most people, money has always been connected to time. If they stop working, the income stops as well. This system feels normal because nearly everyone around us lives the same way. Work more hours, earn more money, but investments introduce a completely different financial system. Instead of trading time, you begin owning assets that generate income on their own. At first, this difference feels small. Maybe your investments produce only a little extra money each month. But as those investments grow, something powerful begins happening quietly in the background. Over time, the income from those assets starts increasing faster than your salary. Eventually, a surprising moment arrives. The income from your investments quietly becomes larger than the paycheck from your job. And when that moment arrives, life begins changing in ways most people never expect. Most people never reach this moment because they spend their entire lives depending only on salary income. Salary feels safe because it arrives regularly every month. But that stability can quietly hide a serious financial limitation. No matter how high your salary becomes, it is always limited by your time and energy. There are only 24 hours in a day, and eventually your ability to work more hours reaches a limit. This is why relying only on salary can trap people in a financial ceiling. Even promotions and raises cannot completely remove that limitation, because promotions still depend on the same system. More responsibility in exchange for more time. Investments work differently. Assets can grow without demanding your time every single day. This difference may sound simple, but it creates one of the most powerful advantages in personal finance. Assets can scale in ways that salaries rarely can. A single successful investment can generate income for years without additional effort. Multiple investments can create several streams of income at the same time. Eventually, these streams begin working together to build a financial system independent from your job. This is the stage where money begins working for you instead of the other way around. But reaching this stage requires patience and long-term thinking, because investments rarely beat salary overnight. The process usually begins quietly, with small gains that slowly compound over time. And many people underestimate how powerful compounding can become. Years later, those small gains can grow into life-changing income streams. And eventually, that quiet compounding leads to the moment when investments finally beat your salary. When your investments finally earn more than your salary, the first change happens inside your mind, not your bank account. For the first time, you realize that your job is no longer your only source of financial survival. This realization creates a feeling of freedom that most workers rarely experience. The pressure to keep your job at all costs slowly begins to disappear. Because even if you stop working tomorrow, your investments will continue producing income. This changes the way you think about work itself. Work is no longer something you must do to survive. This shift transforms your relationship with time. Time becomes your most valuable resource rather than money. Many investors describe this moment as the point where they truly begin controlling their lives, because financial independence is not just about money. It is about freedom of choice. You can choose where to work, when to work, and sometimes even if you want to work at all. This flexibility removes one of the biggest sources of stress in modern life. Many people underestimate how powerful this psychological change can be, because when financial pressure disappears, creativity and ambition often increase. People begin exploring new opportunities that were previously too risky. Some start businesses. Others pursue passions they ignored for years, because failure becomes less dangerous when your financial survival is already secure, and that safety creates a powerful environment for growth. Ironically, many investors become even more productive after reaching this stage, because they are finally working on things they truly care about, and passion often produces better results than pressure. But the changes do not stop with psychology. Your lifestyle begins evolving as well. Daily routines slowly become more flexible. Time previously spent commuting or working overtime becomes available again. Many investors use this time to improve their health, relationships, and personal development, because financial freedom often creates the space needed for a balanced life. And this balance becomes one of the most valuable rewards of successful investing. But reaching this point requires understanding a deeper principle about wealth. When investments begin outperforming your salary, you start realizing an important truth about wealth. The richest people in the world rarely depend on a single source of income. Instead, they build systems that generate money from many different directions. These systems continue producing income even when the owner is not actively working. This idea completely changes how investors think about work and money. Employees focus on increasing income by working harder. Investors focus on increasing income by owning more assets. This shift may sound simple, but it represents a completely different financial strategy. One strategy depends on effort, the other depends on ownership. And ownership has the potential to grow far beyond what individual effort can achieve. This is why many investors eventually begin prioritizing asset acquisition over career advancement, because assets can multiply in ways salaries rarely can. Dividends can increase, rent can rise, businesses can expand. Each new asset becomes another worker inside your financial system. And unlike employees, assets do not require salaries or vacations. They simply continue producing value over time. Eventually, your portfolio becomes a powerful engine of wealth creation. At this stage, your focus shifts from earning income to protecting and growing assets, because maintaining wealth requires a different mindset than building it. Risk management becomes more important than chasing quick profits. Investors start thinking about long-term stability rather than short-term excitement. Diversification becomes a key part of the strategy because multiple income streams create financial resilience. If one investment slows down, others can continue producing income. This structure protects investors during economic uncertainty. Over time, this system can become more powerful than any individual career. And once that happens, your job becomes optional rather than necessary. This is the point where many people truly experience financial independence. But the real goal of investing goes beyond independence. The ultimate goal is building a life where money supports your values, rather than controlling your decisions. When your investments begin outperforming your salary, your daily life slowly begins to change in ways that many people never expect. The first noticeable change is flexibility in how you use your time. Instead of planning life around work schedules, you begin planning work around your life. This shift gives you control over one of the most valuable resources you have: time. Many investors describe this moment as finally getting their life back, because financial pressure is one of the strongest forces shaping everyday decisions. When that pressure disappears, opportunities suddenly become visible. Some people use this freedom to start businesses. Others use it to travel, study, or explore new passions. But one thing remains common among most financially independent investors. They continue investing even after reaching financial freedom, because wealth grows strongest when it continues compounding. This long-term mindset separates investors from people chasing quick profits. Successful investors focus on sustainability rather than excitement, because financial freedom is not about one big win. It is about building systems that produce income for decades. These systems become the foundation of generational wealth. And that brings us to the final lesson behind investments: beating your salary. Money alone does not create freedom. Financial systems do. The more assets you control, the less dependent you become on any single income source. Eventually, this independence transforms your entire relationship with money. Money becomes a tool instead of a source of stress. And when that happens, wealth finally serves its real purpose. Not controlling your life, but giving you the freedom to design it. And that is the real meaning of investments beating your salary. Not just more income, but more control over your future. Because the ultimate goal of investing is not simply becoming rich. It is creating a life where your time truly belongs to you. And that is the moment when everything truly changes.